Chris with HobbyKing.com, and today we have Dragon Avionics Screamy Lost Model Locator. It's really a locator system because it does a few other advantages such as low voltage alarm as well as built-in battery backup, different triggering methods. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it. First thing is I want you guys to note its size. It is extremely small, and this is just a standardized coin. You can get a size reference on that, and it weighs just 9 grams. Which is pretty amazing because it has a built-in battery backup, which allows it to alarm for up to 3 days after disconnection, if needed. So small, it's able to be integrated in very small aircraft such as 250 FPV racers, obviously up to much larger airplanes. Has several inputs. We'll go ahead and talk about on that. On-off switch, built-in charger for the built-in LiPo, and a couple other features. So first, let's talk about the pin orientation on this. So it's got 5 pins here, but the first 3 pins are just standard ICE RC signal servo lead in. So what you do is take a servo lead from an extra channel on your receiver and just run it to these first 3 pins. Now, if you don't have an extra available channel, it doesn't really matter. You can just Y harness off an existing channel, because what it's doing is just getting one voltage to charge the internal battery, and it's just looking for a reference PWM signal. Meaning, if it has PWM signal, it assumes a lot of things, that it's not going to trigger, it's got a valid signal. And in this case, what it's looking for is if the model was to crash and the battery ejected, it would lose that PWM signal coming into it, or S-bus signal. So it would then start alarming at that point. Now also, if you have an available extra channel, you can actually trigger it via a switch. So you can trigger it even if the aircraft lands, say, out in the field. But it has a valid signal, you can still manually control and trigger it. So besides that, if it loses signal, it will start alarming. You can trigger it via an extra channel if you have that available. Next, low voltage. It auto detects voltage when it's plugged into your battery through the 4th pin. So you just bring the positive over, detects what voltage you have, sets the low voltage alarm, so it alarms or starts alarming before you ever hit that LVC. So hopefully you won't lose your model in the first place. Next, right over here is just ground to trigger it. So if you hook it up to an external relay, you're able to trigger this for other types of devices itself. Another neat feature about this is a built-in timer. Say it crashes and it's getting a valid PPM signal because the receiver's failsafe doesn't necessarily trigger it. So it's seeing PPM, it's out of range of your transmitter for whatever reason, maybe it went into failsafe. This will still start alarming automatically after 1 hour of being turned on. So even in the worst case scenario, after 1 hour, it's going to start triggering on its own right there. And with the built-in battery, it's going to last for up to 3 days. Now, what's really cool is I mentioned that if it loses its signal, so say you Y harness it in or you have an extra channel, if you crash and the battery's ejected, which happens to me about 99% of the time when I go in, the battery goes somewhere else, you lost main power. And that's what really sets this aside from other lost model locator systems, is that this continues to alarm even if it's ejected and taken out of the system. And it'll alarm, like I mentioned, for up to 3 days. Now, it's extremely loud. You can hear it from an 1/8 mile or 200 meters away. We talked about the weight. I'm going to go ahead and just plug it in and just show some of the features. So as soon as I plug it in, you got a little red light right here, and that just indicates that it's charging. I'm going to go ahead and flip the switch and turn it on. It's going to beep at me. Now, I've actually got it hooked to an extra channel right over here. So if I landed the aircraft, say, out in the field, I can just flip the switch, and it's going to start alarming. I'll let it alarm a few times. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flip that switch, turn it off, and so you can see that it's controlled via the RC. Like I said, you don't have to have it on an extra channel. It's just going to look for a valid PPM signal. Next, I'm going to go ahead and pretend I crashed and the main battery got ejected out of the aircraft, so I'm just going to unplug it. It's going to just start alarming automatically right over there. Plug it back in. Now it's going to not alarm anymore. If I had the 4th pin plugged into my main battery pack, when it hit LVC, it would go ahead and start alarming there. And the last pin, like I mentioned, more of an extra feature. If it's grounded via relay or something like that, you can trigger it as well. If I continued to let it just sit here after 1 hour, it's going to go ahead and start alarming. So you've got that timer effect in there. And the best thing about this is that it has full compatibility. It can even be used on DJI products with S-bus. So it's awesome. It's super small. Battery backup, so even if it's ejected, you're definitely going to still alarm and see it. Charges via your standard RC, so your battery's always being topped off and charged. 3 days, you can hear it from a 1/4 of a mile away. Super light, super small, so it works perfect for 250 racers. I don't know how many times I've been out in the field looking for mine. Awesome product made by Dragon Avionics. Check it out. It's up on the new items page, and as always, subscribe to our YouTube channel.